So all roads lead to this, the series finale for Stranger Things, and for the final time, we're going to get into all of my thoughts on what is the conclusion of a Netflix series that historically has been pretty great. This season, not so much. But did the finale stick the landing? Well, what's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today, yes, we're getting into Season 5, Episode 8, Right Side Up, I believe is the title. It's the series finale for Stranger Things, guys. We've been waiting for many, many years for the end of this series and to see how the Duffer brothers tie everything up. Now, I can't promise you this will be spoiler-free, to be completely honest with you. I think we're going to have to mention some spoilers, so if you haven't watched it yet, go ahead and get subscribed to the channel down below. Save this to your watch later list. Like this video as well. And when you finish watching it, let me know in the comments below what you think of the series finale. Did it work for you? Is it a little weak, or was it exactly what you expected? For better or for worse. Now, if you haven't seen my Volume 1 and Volume 2 reviews, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of this season at all. Honestly, it is the weakest season of this series. Yes, weaker than Season 3, which I did not like very much. But Volume 1 and Volume 2, it was too back and forth. The pacing's rocky. There was so many bad things that happened in Volume 2. However, Volume 3, the finale, hey, it's actually not bad. So let's waste no more time. Let's get into my review. Again, where did we leave off? We've got Vecna ready to destroy the entire world and bring the abyss through the wormhole, the upside down, and then into the actual world and destroy Earth as we know it, right? So now it's up to the kids from Hawkins to stop Vecna. So that's what this finale is all about. It clocks in at just over 2 hours long. So to be expected, I actually thought it might be longer, but it wasn't. So, all right, let's get into the positives, you guys. And I will say, the finale plays it safe, guys. It doesn't do anything terrible, but it doesn't do anything great either. So it's sort of in the middle. And for all intents and purposes, based on Volume 2 and how bad that was, this was the way to go. Yeah, I guess in a way you could say that they stuck the landing because, hey, they didn't fall off the edge here. So the finale, while I don't think everything in the finale was very good, I still think that it did enough things okay, and sometimes it did things very good for me to come away not upset with spending 2 hours with it. Now, here's the thing. I don't leave the finale thinking, oh, everything was so great. And I wish I kind of did because we spent so much time with this series. But there were some elements here that were pretty darn solid. And I want to start with some of the acting, right? Now, we're going to get into this in the negatives, but overall the acting's not very good in this finale. There were some actors and actresses that did fine, though. So I will say David Harbour delivered the goods here. He did very well. He was carrying scenes on his back with Millie Bobby Brown when they were doing a lot of their one-on-one, I'll miss you, I love you, Elle type of moments, you know, things like that. So he did well, I would say. And they also give him a very sweet and tender moment towards the end of this episode with Joyce. So it just really worked for me when they allowed him to carry scenes. So that's like a good guy. Now we want to get into one of the bad guys. We got the main antagonist here, Vecna, or Henry Creel, played by Jamie Campbell Bower. And I would say he did a very good job here again, if not the best job in this episode. Sinister, cunning, very upset. He's got veins on his forehead. That's not CGI, guys. That wasn't just added in post-production. Someone check on the man's health. But he did very, very well at sort of allowing us to experience what the younger version of his character went through. I am still in the camp that says they needed to do a better job with handling Henry's backstory here in this season. They didn't do the best job, and I would say they took too long to get to it. We should have gotten this backstory in Volume 2, to be completely honest with you. But I'm kind of glad it happened when it did, because we learned exactly how Vecna became Vecna in a sense. So yeah, it's very interesting to see the progression and how they maybe changed some of the story around based on what we learned from previous seasons. But Jamie Campbell Bower did a very good job here. And I will say, you know, I thought Sadie Sink did fine as well. Sadie Sink as Max. That's the thing. I feel like there could have been more there. there just could have been a better opportunity to really magnify her acting abilities, because she's a very good actress. I just wish that they maybe did a little bit more with her character and gave her and Lucas more time. Like, her and Caleb McLaughlin really should have had more screen time together in this finale. They do have a tender moment at the end where you're like, oh my gosh, they're together. Like, of course. But I do think that they needed to have a little bit more focus and emphasis on Max, because she did very well in this finale. I also really love the major boss battle towards the end of the second act here. Man, the VFX for the Mind Flayer in the Abyss were very, very well done. It looked great. Sound design was good. It was huge in terms of scale, so I really loved what they did with that sequence. And then you throw in Vecna versus Elle, and that was a really good action sequence. And that's the thing. Why didn't we get more of this level of quality earlier in season 5? This is how the rest of the season should have felt, to be completely honest with you, and unfortunately it didn't. But here in the finale, we do get a really good sequence, and then you can tell that the action is on point, the score is on point, so it felt like it was flowing very nicely towards the end of that second act. I liked how they got there too. It was nice to see our Hawkins kids finally team up together again. Like, it just felt like in season 5 everyone's doing their own thing sort of, but bringing them all together, having them work together, was pretty darn cool. And for as much as I'm a softie, I should have loved these flashback moments more. And even though I didn't, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in my negatives, there was at least one moment between Mike and Elle that I thought, oh, okay, like, this is working. You know, there are just instances, too many instances, where one actor is doing the most in a good way, and the other actor in the same scene just can't sort of get on their level here. And that's the case in a lot of these one-on-one conversations in the finale that, you know, bring in a lot of flashbacks. So I did like that conversation between Mike and Elle. I thought it worked really well for me. In the grand scheme of things, yes, I wish Finn Wolfhard would be a little bit, you know, better and more dynamic in that scene. But yeah, there are just some elements where the nostalgia comes into play and you think, you know, okay, I do remember the greatness of the show. I know that sounded like a backhanded compliment. And the biggest thing for me here is that the finale just wasn't terrible. And that is the biggest win for this show. Because if it was anything like Volume 2, the finale was going to literally unravel the entire show for me and for so many others. In this instance, though, hey, it's not, you know, the episode that contains the most blasphemous use of the Lord's name in vain. I'll be honest with you. They used it like, what, twice, 3 times or something in this finale versus volumes 1 and 2 where they used that like 50 million times. But at least the writing was a little bit tighter, you know, in the series finale. But again, they're playing it safe. And the thing that they did that I was hoping they would at least do was not deliver a terrible finale. And they didn't. So for those who are like, oh, is it just as bad as Game of Thrones? You know what I mean? No, even though I enjoy season 8 of Game of Thrones, to be completely honest with you, and I kind of like how they ended it, Stranger Things finale played as it's safer. And there's nothing that it does that is egregious or will cause a lot of controversy or spark a lot of discussion in a negative way. Some people will probably tell you, yeah, I wish this finale would have done this and this, and I'll tell you that in a little bit too. But no one can ever say, in my opinion, that this finale is terrible. And I think that is a big win in the context of this season. Okay, so now it's time for my negatives, you guys, because while, yes, the series finale is not awful, it does things that I'm like, ugh, this is just as a result of a pretty subpar to terrible season of television for Stranger Things. And one of the things that I think this show has been struggling with is getting the most out of its actors and actresses in this final season. So maybe it's also kind of on the actors and actresses too. As we know, 11 is such a central character to this story, and Millie Bobby Brown from seasons 1 to 4 has done an excellent job as 11. Seriously, she's done great. Now, I will say, in, well, season 5, not so much. I unfortunately think that she has been lacking in the expressions department. I don't think that she's done a very good job at conveying both sides of her character, the sympathetic, very hurt emotional side of her character, and also the stoic, I'm going to kill you Vecna side. she doesn't do a very good job in this season. And I think that does bring down the finale as well, because again, there are those one-on-one conversations with actors like David Harbour. And listen, you can just tell there's that disparity between the two in terms of their dynamicism and their dynamic acting capabilities in this finale. I was really hoping that we would get a stronger performance from Millie Bobby Brown, but unfortunately we do not in this finale. I totally get that 11 has changed, especially over the course of season 5, but even in the moments where she's supposed to be very stoic and strong, it just doesn't come off that way. It almost feels a little forced. And I also have to blame the writing department as well. I feel like the Duffer brothers did a pretty bad job this season in the writing department. The scripts just were not very good, y'all. There are so many one-liners in this finale that just do not land for me. And there are times where I'm like, man, maybe Murray's not that cool of a character. You know, it's just too much comic relief to its detriment. You know, it just doesn't really flow very well. And I do think that the writing, especially the dialogue sequences in the third act where we're getting our send-offs for our characters, just felt, I don't know, very wooden, you know, and that's both the acting and also the script. It doesn't sort of let these actors who we know, these actors and actresses, they can act their tails off, but it doesn't feel like the script is giving them that freedom and that level of, freedom, to actually act. And sadly, Millie Bobby Brown isn't the only actress here that doesn't do the greatest job. I want to turn now to an actor, Noah Schnapp, who plays Will, that for me has really just not been doing great over the course of this season. This is the worst performance that he's turned in. I mean, I can't tell you that any scenes with him were very believable. There's one scene, and it's an action sequence that I'm like, oh wow, this is the best that he's done all season long. But I don't really love his acting here. It just, to me, it didn't work. I mean, and that's the thing. It's a mix of both, right? It's just like poor performances and then poor writing. So when you add those two together, you get very bad scenes. And even though I know I mentioned earlier in the positive section that there were conversations clearly meant to evoke nostalgia and sadness, you know, utilizing flashbacks, I didn't necessarily feel the tug on my heartstrings in those moments. And I think that's as a result of how bad volumes 1 and 2 were. But then you also think, or at least I was thinking, hey, the flashbacks of previous scenes in this show showcase how the actors, sure, they've grown over the years, of course, but they were so much better as child actors. What's going on here? I mean, there are maybe like 2 actors I can tell you that still are carrying the mantle when they do get time on screen, like Gaten his last name is going to mess me up. Dustin. And then Caleb McLaughlin as Lucas. Both of them do a good job. And when they get time, of course. So that's the thing. The flashbacks just are such a contrast to how this season really has unfolded for me. I hope Gaten Matarazzo doesn't get mad at me for not being able to pronounce his name properly there. And then there are some instances where the show takes a risk, which is so foreign for this season. This season has had no stakes, in my opinion. But in season 5's finale, I'm thinking, wait a second, did they just do that? So yeah, they do kill off one of the characters, a supporting character, a sister. I'm just saying it. And I thought that scene worked for me because finally they're doing something. So I thought, okay, what about the main character? You got to get at least one main character, like do something. And they did it. Okay, so this is a spoiler. Like I said, there's spoilers ahead, right? They actually, at least they show in an instance that Millie Bobby Brown's character of 11 gets killed off. She sacrifices herself in the gate of the Upside Down as the Upside Down is crumbling to then destroy that gate so that Dr. K and her goons can't go and try to take her blood and recreate Papa's experiment. And I thought, dang, that is really dope. They finally took a risk. 30 minutes later, they unravel it, they undo it. Yeah, like, sure, the writers are leaving it open for interpretation. Mike is giving his final campaign before everyone goes their separate ways after graduating in Hawkins' class of 89. And Mike says, there's like something I can't write about, which is, you know, 11 basically being an illusion in that gate in the Upside Down. It's Callie who was casting it before she died, and then 11 escapes and goes to this small town far off so no one can find her to live out her life peacefully. And then I'm thinking, okay, they lay all that out, and Mike says, well, you can't prove the theory. Bruh, I know what the show's doing. clearly 11's alive. Like, this show is very adverse to taking risks to kill off main characters. And that's a problem for me in this series, because if you are scared of doing that and then you present that, but then you psych us out, that doesn't work for me. It actually kills the immersion quite a bit. So when they did that, I sighed heavily and I thought that this show can't take risks, man. So again, overall, it's not a terrible finale. It's just a finale that plays it safe and sometimes delivers mediocre acting and writing, but you won't walk away very upset. Now, overall, this season is bad, bro. This season is bad. It's the worst of the series. So for that to be the case for me with the final season of this series, it just sort of hurts. It kind of stinks, to be honest, because I wanted to come away loving this, but I didn't. So yeah, season 5 is not terrible. They're clearly leaving the door open for spinoffs, of course. Maybe bringing in a spinoff with Elle or something. I don't know. But I'm not necessarily the most thrilled about how it ended. In a way, I'm glad it did, because I do think the show has overstayed its welcome. So, Stranger Things, season 5 finale, I probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5. And that's the second highest rating for this season. The best episode is episode 4. I give that like a 4 out of 5. Everything else, just throw that away. But y'all, there you have it. That's my real review and all my thoughts on the Stranger Things series finale. That's it. It's the last time we're talking about this show, right? Until they make a spinoff, I'm sure. But for now, that's it. So let me know down below in the comments, guys, what you think of this finale. Did it work for you? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And hey, if you don't want to miss out on more content here in the new year, because yes, this is the very first video of the new year, hit that big red button below. Subscribe to the channel, and let's get that 50K this year. I really hope so. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening.